group members have the ability to keep me from seeing a cutscene or dialogue window by skipping them?
No. Though there is the social pressure of if everyone else in your group is skipping lines for you to skip as well. But
if they're yelling at you on vent, then I don't know, you might lose friends.
But it's if you don't skip, then it does not skip.
No.
Yeah, so our death system is one of the more forgiving death systems in MMOs, and the reason we've done that is because we actually want to make the combat more challenging. And the thing is, if you have super challenging combat and a really unforgiving death system, then your players want to kill you. So you kind of have to err on the side of making one easier if you're going to make the other harder. So our death system actually allows you to you can respawn in place, essentially, if you die. And then there's a big cooldown. So it's essentially, and this is our current death system, which we're experimenting with right now, but you get killed, and you decide to respawn in place, and then you have a chance to move away from the enemy before you can gather aggro again. You can't do anything. If you do anything at that point, such as attack someone or use an ability, you immediately can gain aggro. So it just allows you to move to a place where you can then continue the combat. However, it's balanced so that if you, for example, die twice, there's a big cooldown, and if you die 3 times, you're probably going to have to return to a med center. And med centers, the fiction there is, you reappear with the back to tank. So
they're basically, it's called a medical droid. So when you hit the medical droid option, it says a medical droid has been dispatched, and it literally brings you up. And yeah, you're in stealth, but you've also got a lowered health, so you have enough time to get away from where you might be aggroing other monsters, and then you can heal up. A couple other things to mention is everybody has a self-heal, so as soon as you're out of combat, you can hit that self-heal and just get yourself straight back up to maximum health. And in addition, everybody has the ability to revive a fallen group mate, so as long as you're out of combat again, you can basically bring them straight back up again without that medical droid / medical center sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, there is a enormous thread discussing this on the forums, in which Georg Zola, who's our lead combat designer, has talked about it a lot. But what James said is true. Essentially, we don't want an extremely harsh, punishing death system. We still do have armor decay. Armor gets sort of gradually beaten down, and if you were in that scenario of going again and again, whether it's medical droid or a medical center, you would ultimately break your armor, and you'd have to go get that repaired. So there are various things to ensure that you can't just, the example being, you can't just, take a boss down by 1/3 health, get killed, go to immediately res in place, and go back and attack him again. We sort of guard against that.
I know there's a thread on the boards right now that's talking about they're worried that we're going to make the game too easy. That's actually the opposite of what we're trying to do right now, especially with the death system. We want to make... one of the things about game design is you want to make a game challenging, but not too challenging. If it's too challenging, players get frustrated. If it's not challenging enough, players get too bored. And most massively multiplayer games are balanced right now in the modern day to the too easy, so you can easily get bored. In the past, massive multiplayer games have been balanced to that they're too hard, and you get frustrated when you die and have to run for 5 hours to get back to your corpse. So we're trying to take... we're trying to make it so that it's similar to almost like a reload, so that we can have those more difficult fights where you have to think about it and and rethink your strategy. Where you're like, well, I just went in there, that didn't work, I'm going to try it again. Then maybe you have to wait a minute, and then you might have to try it a third time.
It says, can you please refine BioWare's Holiday 2011 window? When does it start and when does it end?
Nope.
Holiday is all you get for now.
Yep. As we get closer to it, we'll definitely be refining it.
All right, so our PvP arena is on your wall of crazy, and what are you guys going to do to make open world PvP better? Like, what incentives are you going to give for open world PvP?
Come back and talk to us in a month.
For looking for groups, how is that going to work in your game? And are you going to alleviate people that are going to be looking for groups for like 30 to 40 plus minutes?
So we're going to have the basic looking for group functionality that one would expect in a modern day MMO. We also have some new ideas that we're not talking about right now that are in the early testing phase, so actually in early implementation phase, so they haven't even been tested, so I can't really talk about them right now. But it is, we want a very social game, so we want to make looking for group, like finding a group, really easy. In fact, we've gone through 2 stages. we've been making a whole bunch of adjustments to the game to make grouping, to change the game so that players want to group. So there's lots of incentives to group right now in Star Wars: The Old Republic. And now that we've got people to want to group, we're trying to add in functionality that will make it easy to group.
Are the items from pre-order account bound, or are they a one-time use only thing? In other words, do you get them on all your characters, or just one?
We'll be answering that later. Currently, the ship you get is based off your class, and if you don't like it, you're going to be very sad for a long time. We regularly give out prizes to people within the studio if they play the game to a certain point. It's to encourage people to finish the game. And one of the prizes was actually this really cool poster of basically a schematic of your ship. And so we had one for every single ship, and they're really awesome. Hopefully at some point, never mind, I'm not going to say anything. Yes, if you decide to, thread the needle and you decide to be a neutral character, there are items specifically for you. So the question is, are you going to be able to use your starship in PvP scenarios? Not for ship. So that's a big feature. So we're not really talking about that right now. How does lag affect a cutscene and conversation? Well, hopefully, and this is one of the reasons we're taking our time, it doesn't at all. But currently it does have an effect, but we're actually making adjustments so that that entire system is much less server-bound.
So you talked about there being decay in armor. Will there be decay in weapons as well?
Yeah, right.
Yes. The question was, will there be decay in weapons? That was my answer, yes.
You have to repair things that get broken.
Currently, your armor looks the way it is when it's got one appearance. So if you find a chest piece, it's always going to look like the chest piece. Though we do have unified colors, which allows you to actually unify the color of your uniforms. And have we talked about that much? No.
We've talked about locking the color to the chest piece.
Yeah.
And yeah, talked about that. Because if we hadn't, you just did. So,
Will I be able to invite my friends to hang out on my spaceship?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Can you have your friends come into your starship? Can't answer that right now.
Can a bounty hunter fly around in his jetpack without actually using an ability?
Yeah, we have full 3D flight that only the bounty hunter has access to. It's pretty cool. I'm just kidding. No, he can't. Will dark side or light side affect end game PvP and raiding, or as we like to call it, ops? No. However, the items that drop, well, no.
Well, we've talked about light side, dark side items in the past. But yes, it's not going to affect your operations experience.
Actually, it's surprising how many people have asked for us to put Ewoks into the game.
You get a Jawa if you play a bounty hunter.
Yeah, Jawas are pretty cool. And I do prefer Ewoks to Gungans. So I guess you will see an Ewok companion before you see a Gungan companion.
But that is not saying that you will see one in the game at ship.
Oh yeah, neither of those in ship.
Thank you.
If your group mate wins the role to kill someone, but you chose to let him live, will he be dead in your storyline?
Yes, he will be dead in your storyline.
But to be clear, that could only happen in a world quest as opposed to your personal class story. In your personal class story, you're the one who makes the decisions, not the group.
Are you able to queue for PvP with more than 4 people?
No.
Oh, you mean as a group?
As a
group larger than 4.
Yes, you mean as a group?
Yeah, you can queue. No, you can queue as a group of 4, but you can't queue in a operation group of 8 or 16 or 20 or something like that.
Can people create both factions on a single server?
Yeah, we answered that question yesterday. You can indeed do that.
And as I said yesterday, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that's in testing. And also, as I said yesterday, there may be reasons beyond just throwing both factions on one server together for us to allow that to happen.
What about dance animations? Are we going to do like one dance per race or class, or multiple?
Currently, we only have one per class. Different per gender.
So, if in your guild, will you be able to have a capital ship that you can go into battle with?
See the Wall of Crazy. That's been answered this many times, and I can quote James almost verbatim, which was, many of the senior designers in the studio like the idea of guild capital ships, and that's why they're on the Wall of Crazy, but we're not going to guarantee that they're going to be there for ship.
Wants to know, why wasn't Deceived chosen to be the intro trailer? Since it was last in the series, players who play the game might not actually be aware of those events.
Well,
can we say what?
Well, no, I see the point.
But you know
the intro, yeah. Well, the intro cinematic, yes, chronologically, Deceived is the last in the series, and the way that the game works is the intro cinematic, which is Return, plays when you start the game. But then, depending on which faction you select, you're going to see either Hope or Deceived, and we may have a different voiceover, possibly.
Yeah, like we have all three appear in the game. One is the as what Mr. Reed said. But one of the reasons that we made when we first made Deceived, we didn't actually know we were going to have 3 full movies. We thought we were only going to have 2, so that kind of adjusted things. That's the honest answer.
I didn't lie.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that's the sometimes we got lucky and we were able to have that 3rd Blur movie, which was quite cool.